You love someone who made you feel invisible, and the most confusing part is that your heart still calls it love, even though it never felt safe, never felt steady, and never made you feel chosen. I used to believe that love was supposed to hurt sometimes, that longing meant depth, that giving more than I was getting was loyalty, but over time I realized I wasn't loving them, I was surviving them. There is something quietly devastating about giving your heart to someone who keeps you emotionally hungry. You start feeding off small moments and empty words, turning crumbs into hope, building futures in your head that were never built in real life. You don't fall in love with people who make you feel unloved because they are special. You fall in love with them because you're trying to fix something inside you that broke long before you met them. And that's hard to admit, because it's easier to believe they were the problem, that they were broken, cold, distant, unavailable. But the deeper truth is you stayed because something inside you felt familiar in their absence. Sometimes we mistake emotional distance for mystery, emotional neglect for patience, emotional silence for depth. And we call it love because we don't want to admit we're living in doubt. You loved them because on good days they almost felt real, they almost felt warm, they almost felt safe. And on bad days you blamed yourself for the coldness they brought into your life. That kind of love doesn't grow you, it trains you to beg. You begin rewiring your personality, softening your needs, shrinking your voice, holding your breath emotionally, not because you're weak, but because your heart thinks this is what love costs. You slowly start measuring your worth by how much pain you're willing to survive. And the tragedy is, you weren't asking for anything unreasonable, you were asking the wrong person. People don't make you feel unloved because you're unlovable. They make you feel unloved because they don't know how to love. You kept trying to give more, be better, be softer, be easier, be quieter, hoping one day it would finally be enough to make them choose you the way you chose them. But love isn't something you audition for, and hearts aren't stages. If someone loves you, you don't have to perform for a moment of warmth. Love doesn't hide in silence. Love doesn't punish you with distance. Love doesn't leave you guessing. And yet you stayed, not because love was there, but because hope was. Hope is powerful. It makes you believe in people's almosts. It makes you hold on to their best day and try to ignore all the rest. It convinces you that if you just endure long enough, you'll finally earn the affection that never naturally arrived. You didn't fall for who they were. You fell for who you believed they could become. And potential has ruined more hearts than rejection ever could. Because potential keeps you waiting. It whispers, not yet, but soon. It promises not today, but one day. Meanwhile, your heart keeps paying emotional rent in a place that will never be yours. And the saddest part is, you didn't notice yourself disappearing while loving them. You got quieter. You doubted yourself more. You stopped trusting your instincts. You started settling emotionally. And you called it understanding. But what you were really doing was abandoning yourself while trying not to lose them. And that's why it still hurts. Because you didn't just lose them. You lost yourself. You loved someone who could not love you, and instead of blaming them, you blamed existence, timing, distance, stress, circumstances, anything except the truth. The truth that they never met you where you were standing emotionally. The truth that they never chose you fully. The truth that you were loving with depth while they were barely present. And the hardest part is realizing that they didn't even experience your love the way you did. To them, it was comfort. To you, it was home. To them, it was convenience. To you, it was everything. And that imbalance leaves an ache that no explanation can cure. Because when love isn't mutual, it leaves behind questions you can't answer. Did I matter? Was I enough? Did it mean anything? Did they ever feel it too? And heartbreak doesn't come from answers. It comes from never getting them. What locks you in is not the person. It's the unfinished story, the lack of closure, the silence that never explains. And you sit with all that unspoken weight, wondering what went wrong. But the real question is, why did you stay so long in a place where your heart was starving? You weren't wrong for loving deeply. You were just loving where it could not grow. And that distinction changes everything. You start to realize that love was never the problem. Where you placed it was. You begin to see that love should make you feel seen, not smaller. Chosen, not doubtful. Safe, not anxious. Warm, not frozen. Love should not hurt your spirit while touching your body. It should not confuse you while holding your hand. It should not leave you lonely while lying beside you. And yet, you endured that kind of love because you believed pain was part of connection. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that love was something you earned by enduring. But real love does not require suffering. Love should not make you feel like you're slowly disappearing. You didn't love someone who made you feel unloved because you were weak. You loved them because you were loyal, because you were hopeful, because you were real. And those qualities are beautiful. They just deserve someone capable of receiving them, not someone who needed to be taught how. You can love deeply and still walk away. You can care and still choose yourself. You can miss someone and know they are wrong for you. These things can exist together, because healing is not about erasing feeling. It's about choosing yourself anyway. And one day, the ache will soften, not because they return, but because you return to yourself, to your worth, to your voice, to your boundaries. You will stop trying to heal people who never tried to heal themselves. You will stop begging for emotional leftovers. You will stop explaining your pain to someone who doesn't speak empathy. And you will feel strange at first, because peace feels unfamiliar when you've lived in chaos. But eventually, peace will become your new normal. And when that happens, you'll finally see. You weren't in love with them. You were in survival mode. You were starving for affection. You were hoping for healing in a place that was hurting you. And the day you realize this, something inside you loosens. Not dramatically, quietly, like releasing a breath you didn't realize you were holding. And you understand that love was always meant to make you grow, not shrink, to make you feel alive, not anxious, to make you feel safe, not unwanted, and you will no longer confuse longing with connection, pain with passion, distance with depth. You will understand that love doesn't make you question your worth. It reminds you of it. And when that kind of love finally arrives, you won't have to interpret it. You won't have to chase it. You won't have to fight for it. It will simply be there, steady, quiet, real. And that is how you'll know, this time, you're finally loved. If you and I are anything alike and you want to keep walking this path with me, then subscribe.